at least none of those injuries are to frontline guys who are going to be like season long kinds of injuries.
Yeah, I think part of the consternation is if you're not healthy to start, everybody knows that nobody's healthy week 15. So, but at least be healthy week 1, and hopefully by this week, we'll see. This will be an interesting week to me. Like at the top of my list this week, Matt, is Michael Williams back. Is CJ West. But like we really want to see Michael. He was going to play in that probably going to play in that first preseason game against Denver. Joint practice injury. CJ West, joint practice the next week injury. Those two guys are critical parts of this defensive line. So that's at the top of the list for this week, I would say.
Yeah, and those are guys that need it. Those are guys,
right.
Very few defensive linemen come in as ready-made. Let's go. Let's hit the ground running week 1. I mean, those rookies need the practices. They need the game reps. And right now, what's kind of interesting is Alfred Collins was the guy who was so far behind when training camp started. And honestly, my thought with him would be, boy, it's going to be difficult for him to stay healthy all through training camp because he's such a big guy. He didn't have that base of reps during the offseason program, OTAs, leading into training camp. And then as it turns out, the other guys, same kind of bizarre injuries for them, hyperextended knees with Michael Williams and CJ West. But Alfred Collins has been getting in the work, been practicing, and I mean, he needs it. It's very clear. I don't think he's anywhere near regular season game ready. Whereas those other two guys, when they started training camp, they were further along, but now their growth, their development has been stunted because of these injuries.
Yeah. The other group I think about in that regard, I think one thing that's really interesting, the secondary has the potential to be pretty good, right? With Green, with Upton Stout, with Lenore. We'll see. I think it's really hard to just walk right in and play safety in the NFL. It's a complicated thing to do, but Marquis Siegel is going to have a chance to do it next to Jason Pinnock. It seems like it's Siegel and Jair Brown for that other spot.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
You think Pinnock is clearly a starter, and if Siegel were to emerge into that competition, which he has, it would be more at the expense of Jair Brown?
I'm saying exactly what Tim Ryan said in the broadcast on Saturday.
And Tim knows. I mean, Tim knows a lot more about it. The only thing I would like, Pinnock's injury seems to open the door a little bit. Yeah. But I guess I would agree with that because I haven't seen Jair Brown just take that next step. And I realize, was it the first play of the game? Brock Bowers goes up over him to make that play. Brock Bowers is going to make a lot of plays over a lot of starting safeties in the NFL this season, but that would have been a nice opportunity for Brown to time that high point and break that thing up because he looked like he was in good position.
Yeah, it looked like he lost his footing at the last second, but it's a good point, right? Because Pinnock hasn't been on the field. But I just think you have to be very aware of the guys who came over with Robert Saleh, or at least he didn't come with Robert. He was on the Giants, but kind of a solid guy, and they like him. And so, but to me, what's interesting about it is it's a new defensive coordinator for most of these guys. Gus Bradley comes, and Gus was there for the birth of the Legion of Boom. I would love for them to play together. Yeah. Before the season starts, like I know Lenore has played and Green has played and they feel good about Upton Stout. I haven't used it on the broadcast yet because he hasn't played yet. Maybe if he plays this week, I don't know if you have a thought, if you think Upton will be back, I don't know. But I talked to his college coach at Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton. And he said that he thought one of the reasons Upton would and has acclimated quickly to the NFL is because they run very complicated schemes at Western Kentucky. A lot of their defensive coaches come from the Saban tree. And so it's just a lot of complication. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of, you have to have a good work ethic in terms of the film room, and then you have to be able to process it quickly. And Stout played inside and outside at Western Kentucky. They moved him inside because they wanted to be able to use him on pressure packages and that sort of thing. So he thought he would adapt quickly. But anyway, but communication.
Can I give you one Upton Stout story too?
Yeah.
So the 49ers first-year defensive backs coach is Ray Brown, not the former 49ers offensive lineman Ray Brown, but Ray Brown was an assistant coach, defensive backs coach with Boston College last year. Boston College played Western Kentucky. Now, typically, when a defensive backs coach, when his defense is off the field, he's back there on the benches, with his defensive backs, getting things, squared away and making adjustments and what else a defensive backs coach does. But in this game, he started hearing the safety or I forget exactly what position Upton was playing for Western Kentucky, corner, nickel, whatever.
I think they moved him. Yeah, he played both. Yeah.
So, but he kept hearing this player in the Western Kentucky defensive backfield communicating with all of his guys and basically speaking Ray Brown's language. And so he started paying attention. Whenever Western Kentucky's defense was on the field, he was paying attention to Upton Stout. And he goes, that stuck with me. I started watching him. I admired him. I liked his game. And then it turns out, 4 months later, 5 months later, he's now coaching Upton Stout. Isn't that kind of funny?
That's really, I mean, isn't it for all of the science of scouting and in recruiting in college the same way, for all of the science of it, sometimes it's one person has one thing they like, they bring it up. Sometimes you're breaking ties between players that have to be impossibly thin.
Yeah.
Teams love to say, "Oh, we had to get this guy in the fifth round. We love this guy." But the amount of information they really have, one piece of insight like that can be the difference. That's really cool. Now, was Ray Brown? I guess Jeff Hafley wasn't there. Jeff Hafley was already with the Packers last year as the defensive coordinator.
I don't know if they overlapped.
Bill O'Brien, yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't recall how long Ray Brown was with Boston College, so I don't know if there was overlap there.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, but this is still the secondary is a unit that has to be able to communicate and move together and trust each other and fill space when I vacate it and all that. So I hope that early on, they had the bus were the story of the first preseason game against Denver. They had some in that practice. Here comes Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they are on the same page. My concern is not skill right now with a fully healthy secondary. Are they going to start the year they're on the road for a lot of the early part of the season, right? Which is in a weird way might be good for your secondary because it's actually quiet when you're on defense.
That's a great call. That is a great call. No, it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's and the three guys they have back there right now, then Malik Mustafa, whenever he's cleared, right. I would think he would just immediately slide back into the starting lineup. But those three guys, Jair Brown, Jason Pinnock, and Marquis Siegel, when you can't talk to them for more than 90 seconds and they bring up the communication aspect of it. And so, that's a great point.
I think sorry, can you finish that?
Well, no, I'm just going to say whenever you're in the Superdome, now the 49er fans who show up to these road games or Seattle week 1, New Orleans week 2, the 49er fans in say New Orleans, where there'll be a lot of them.
Yeah.
They won't get the memo. Like, hey, be quiet so that the 49ers defensive backs can communicate with each other.
Yeah. You think Siegel's out there just flopping his wings?
Exactly. I think Siegel. Yeah, Siegel.
Barrows tried to get me to use a bunch of his nicknames for the game. Week 2. Luckily, I didn't see any of his ideas until after the game, so I could plead ignorance. But I think Gus Bradley's it's hard to know because he's not the defensive coordinator, but it'll just be fun to see. Saleh alluded a couple weeks ago in his press conference. Not alluded. He got asked. I don't remember how it came up. Maybe you do, but this is not the same defense he ran necessarily in the back end the last time he was here. Certainly, it's far different than what the Seahawks ran originally with this group. So it'll just be interesting to see kind of what is different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably won't be able to tell like the differences in the defense, but I think we will be able to tell how he calls a defense. In 2019, 49ers did not have to do anything exotic defensively. It was just line up and play football. And the more simple you are, the fewer busts there's going to be, because you can just, with their front four of, Bosa, D Ford, Armstead, Buckner, not a whole lot of gimmicks there. This year, I don't know who's going to supply the pass rush other than Bosa. I think Bryce Huff looked good in some of his pass rush reps on Saturday night, but it's not a defensive, it's not a front four that you just go, whoa, they're just going to be piling up the sacks this season. So they're going to get more creative. There's going to be more Fred Warner blitzing. There's going to be more nickel blitzing. There's going to be more, D Winters blitzing. I don't know how much Nick Martin's going to play, but he's already shown that he can find the right, he can set up a blitz very well. I don't know if you heard him talking after the game about he wanted to kind of go, kind of set up the pass protection of the Raiders to enable him to find that gap to shoot, to make that sack, which he did. But I think, Robert Saleh is going to have to dial up more of that. And we've seen it in preseason with Chase Lucas, rushing the passer as effectively as he rushes the passer.
Yeah. That is the interesting question. Well, that's what everybody's sitting, all of us, when you sit on your couch, like, just blitz more.
I mean, they might,
unless it's the last drive against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But
yeah, well, I would say that they will. They'll probably, the more you blitz, the more big plays you make, but also the more big plays you're susceptible to giving up.